Thank you to the chapel group for sitting up here all together in these warm blue upholstered throne chairs, and I'm sorry about those industrial chairs. And thanks also art department for being my team. Insufficient antiperspirant, and this is not my sweatshirt. I'm going to make mine tonight. Things have already started going wrong today. This morning, a cockroach ran over my bare foot, and I broke a shoelace, and there was a young kid trying to catch the metro train this morning, and his backpack strap was seriously stuck in a park bench, and he couldn't get it out, and it sent me into a panic. But he made it. So, I used to wonder about the people that you had speaking on this stage. I was an art student here 10 years ago, and I remember thinking, when are they going to ask normal people to speak? We had the person who started the successful company, ministry experts, luminaries who speak English with an accent different than mine, so sound noteworthy, poets, pop stars, chauffeurs, pastors, patent perfectors, and Dr. Percent. I thought, what about someone who's underemployed and flounders more than succeeds? What about someone like 22-year-old me as I sat out there? And then it dawned on me, what would someone like that even say? Who maybe wants to listen to an inexplicable communicator, a non-luminary, a shadowary? I'm kind of a shadowary. Well, now you've done it, Wheaton College. And I know why you scheduled me to speak on leap year. Because if this goes terribly, you can scratch this day from the record and maybe no one will notice. Anyway, on Monday when Dr. Percent talked about people taking their shoes off up here, it made me think about all the kinds of public speakers that bother me. Speakers who wear crew neck sweatshirts and skinny jeans to try and identify with students and say that they're going to tell you 3 things and then only remember 2 of them. Speakers who are weirdly comfortable in front of large groups. Like this. I don't know. What does that indicate? I don't know. Speakers who gesticulate while never looking up from the paper that they're reading. And I think that they're getting more out of it than I am. People who have read every book from which they draw their 15 supportive references, books I've never heard of, and now I feel reduced. Speakers who wear loose belts, and people who don't laugh at their own funny jokes, but then they take a drink of water while everyone else is laughing. I think that's weird. So now I have to take a turn and speak. I'm slotted to tell a story of seeing faithfulness. So let's start the story with bowing to the Prince of Peace. God, our very own one, teach us a lesson gently. You and I both know we need it. Okay, I thought of the theme today in terms of God's presence. If I do say so, I'm very good at receiving things, like, wow, thanks, I'll take it. But I think I still may be on topic because I know God's presence through presence, right? Now, here is my story of God's steadfast gifts in 3 parts. The gift of some of the things I treasure, 5 things plus a mouse. the gift of making it through the hard stuff, and the gift of living well forever. This list is provided as foreshadowing of content non sequiturs. Although I feel that if you add the first two parts together, you get the third part. And you're not going to like the valley of my story. It's the year I graduated, the year after I graduated from Wheaton was the hardest year of my life. But first, the treasures. A faithful gift to me is my ancestors. I'm glad I came from somewhere. My grandfather was a traveling musician, accordion, and my grandmother was a waitress diner, and she is purported to have opened the swinging door to the diner kitchen with her hips, both hands full of trays. And they met, as they say, on the road. And my grandparents loved me by giving me this legacy. They showed me how to love music and reading. Maybe more than anything, I like to watch someone playing Laura's theme or charade, any score by Mancini or Legrand, any arrangement by Ellington or Will Basie. Sorry, Conservatory Grandpa was kind of a jazz and show tunes guy. I thank God for musicians. Thank God for musicians. And reading, it's an act of stillness and humility. I like to watch people read. I'm sure they're getting smart, and I'm nearby. I worked it out. What are you reading? I asked my introverted, anime-loving, electric piano-playing sister after all day squinting in the Turks and Caicos, 12-hour sun. Nothing. You want to talk? No. What's your book about? Assassins. Okay, well, all right, I think I'll go now. I thank God for my sister, the most loyal person. She's there when I leave and there when I get back. Kind of like an assassin. No, but she has inspired the nickname Moss. She teaches me about God that way. I wonder if you have someone like that in your life. I wonder if that's you. We need people like you. Okay, I have to speed up. What about the gift of my favorite food? The last meal I just ate, usually. Fresh water and a plate full of food. Okay, think for a moment. Food comes from the ground. Thanks. We do the work of the planning and the tending and the harvesting, but really, like, where did this thing come from? It's for me, it's to me, it's to fuel me. We are on the right planet for getting fed. Food is beautiful and heaven is a feast. Okay, maybe more than anything, I like colors. They're everywhere. Succulent, abundant, unique, surprising, subtle, informative, tricky, changing, never changing, available. Every time I notice colors, I notice their author. According to Genesis, the first thing God made were colors. I can see God as a terrifyingly joyous burst of cosmic light shining in all directions with nothing to bounce off of, to be partially absorbed into and reflected from, to reveal infinite chances of beauty. I mean, where isn't God? When am I away from his signs of life? Part 2, getting through the hard stuff. As a kid, I wanted to be an extreme sports athlete. Go to the Olympics, jump over high things. I felt a passionate call at age 5 to pursue this. And I began to train myself. I always knew what I wanted. I never was bored. I couldn't wait for each next moment, and my favorite thing in the world were legs. Legs are amazing. They take you places. I like springing, running, I like kneeling. Where does a lap come from? Do I not have it when I stand up? Thanks for the lap. Okay, but I teach art at Wheaton, okay? Not lap discovery, or long jumping, or giant slalom. I found out at age 5 I have debilitating asthma. I can't exert full sporty force for more than 5 seconds, period. I walk my bike up that hill next to Williston. And by the time I get to Adams Hall, my face is this kind of French aquamarine tinged ecru. It's not so savory. It's this Illinois topography. It is rugged. Okay, I have to speed it up. Okay, so maybe you are on your 3rd or 4th life preference right now. Maybe you are on someone else's choice. Art was my 2nd choice. It is my 2nd choice, but I believe it's my future, and I dream of doing extreme art. If I can't get what I hope for, I change my mind. That usually provokes a workable shift inside of me. But one summer when I was 20, I got stuck. I applied to be a camp counselor. Right? I fully expected to be awarded the post. I am camp counselor material. I have a blonde ponytail. I love being in the woods. Kids volleyball doesn't aggravate my asthma. I am genetically predisposed to be a camp counselor. And the camp, they said no. They would hire me as a receptionist. I am not genetically predisposed to sequential organization. I had to pray, to want to pray, to want to be delivered from my intense bitterness. And even then, I wasn't sure. Why am I telling you this? Because I ended up having the best summer of my life, and my bitterness was miraculously turned to an embrace, a wild, enthusiastic embrace. I went to that camp prepared to commit a hate crime against a bona fide counselor. I'm not kidding. But I fell into step with them instead. Hatred transformed. I had to live it to believe it. And then I thought of another treasure. One of the best things that has ever happened to me, when I was 8 years old, I attended a summer kids camp, a different camp, that encouraged me to read the Bible for myself. Do you welcome children? Are you a child welcomer? We need people like you. And I've been reading the Bible ever since then. I like the Bible. It knows what I'm thinking, and it knows what I'm scheming. It knows how God's world works. I mean, no fancy pants phraseology here. The Bible changes me. The Word of God changes the world. I had to live it to believe it. Okay, then there were those times that God tricked me into going to another continent by myself for 6 weeks with no money and no hostel reservations. That time he tricked me into volunteering to do a 60-foot mural in the 12-hour sun. That time he tricked me into becoming a college teacher. But I learned courage and hospitality surviving 6 weeks on the kindness of strangers. I got to know my assassin sister on the giant shining mural. And teaching, I don't know, you guys are kind of a stretching crowd. I'll tell you why after a few more non sequiturs. My first year out of college, okay, it snuck up on me. Non-sequential, remember? Armed with my grandfather's vinyl collection, a set of old Lionel Hampton vibes, colors, fresh water, a taste of bitterness dissolved, and the Word of God, I faced the cliffs of responsibility. And it was awful. Not just because most of my friends moved far, far away, got married, and bid become be in all their weddings. Not just because I was living with family for some years, not just because of some family tragic suicides, but mostly because, and I know now God was calling me to himself, I couldn't see a role model of an adult trusting God. How many gifts from God will justify faith, trust and thanks? Are the pressures of life stronger than the call to be wise? Show me an adult with the courage to fear differently. Were college loans and healthcare costs and rent and singleness intimidating? Yeah. Would fear of these things be the source of my life's intention? Oh no. I'll get a job and I won't hate it. I'll pursue health and I won't begrudge the maintenance. I will be in the company of fellow shadowaries and not be underwhelmed. No one will notice me and no one will tell me what to do next, and I won't feel passed over. I decided it that year with resolve while sitting on Grandma's gray leather sofa with a mouse living under it. Told you there was a mouse? And I worked hard, often for free on weekends, or paying to do the things I was passionate about, extreme art. I made dumb choices about some jobs and men because I didn't know better. I was not on a fast track. But I wasn't about to give in to doing things my way, the worried, the look for escape instead of transformation way. I've been asking, where does transformation come from? I'm inspired by the conflicts in the New Testament where the powers that be puzzled over anyone's intention to be transformed instead of escape, the hard stuff. Don't you know you can get out of this? Pilate said to Jesus. Agrippa said, doesn't Paul know, had he not appealed, he could have gotten out of this? And the jailer to Paul and Silas, you could have left when opportunity knocked. I started traveling the world when I was 23. Some of it was what could crassly be referred to as poverty tourism for my graduate studies. There were incessant vultures circling some of the world's largest trash dumps, workplace and home to thousands of people. No fresh water there. Try spontaneous explosions that create gaping, fiery tombs for trash-picking refugees and their kids. Was that their compromising second choice life path? Thanks for the reality tour, God. Thanks for being so thorough. What are you, faithful or something? Poverty is the toughest stuff. People dying in rural tracts amidst profound nothingness. Where's the food that's designed to come from the earth? What kind of a feast is that? Cities of youth fed on bitterness and firearms, pouring down shame and non-belonging on members with disabilities. This isn't life, this is an obscenity. Who's responsible for this? Don't you know, God, that we want out of this? Seriously. Honestly. So part 3, and living well forever. So the Word of God affirmed the world he authored when he showed up wearing Earth's pelt. I think it's a bold move. He's no stranger to skepticism and accusations of misbeing. He's been shunned since he was just a zygote, and even before. He barely pulled a few cells together when his adoptive father decided he was a problem. I wonder if anyone here knows how that feels. I know Joseph came around in the end in a dream, and I wonder about all the times God speaks to people in the Bible when they're unconscious. I mean, I guess if you're going to count people who are conscious, you've got Saul, who was struck blind, Zechariah struck dumb, Moses struck the rock. But I prefer the women who spoke back to their angels with their eyes open. Okay, back on track. Okay, from the moment Jesus was born, folks were trying to deny him dignity and deny him acknowledgement. Even the disciple asked, so where is God after all? Don't you know me, Philip? Jesus said. Though the world was made through him, the world didn't know him. Do I recognize him? Do I attest? He does know. Incarnately, he knows. He's not on his way out, he's on his way in. Am I present? You thought I was joking about being girded with colors. I'm serious, I'm a painter. These are God's colors and mine. You know, one of my problems is anxiety. I'm always worried about something, always. Sometimes I forget what I'm worried about, and then I try and remember. I tell myself, that was an important worry. Don't let that one get away. You know what make me nervous? People who say they don't know what heaven is like. If you don't have any idea, how do you know how to live your life today? What is your benchmark? What do you think today is, if not heaven in one hand? Let it be the same hand as my paintbrush. And because I'm a community artist, let me hand the brush to someone next to me. Paint, eat, bring, be the feast. I know what my feast is, and I'll share it with everyone, so don't worry. It's my grandpa playing music. He doesn't even have to look down at his hands. It's kids in slums who paint with me because it's the best offer they have. It would be Wheaton students who don't have 25 better offers than making dance, music, and art together. That's why this is a stretching place. And it's my grandmother's sight restored so she can read again and wear her favorite color of pale purple that looks great on her. It's when I'm saved from, out of loneliness, guilt, and fear, telling my author that he's the cruel one out there. It's hard to know the if-thens of our choices as we obsess over our life's journeys. If I get a job out of college, then I can start being valuable. If I go for a PhD, then I will run out of time to have kids. If we stop thinking of things as problems, then the problems will go away. If I indulge my preferences, then I will be happy. If I follow my true calling, then my path may draw disapproval. If I am a control freak, then less things will go wrong. If this woman stops reciting conditional statements, then we can all leave and go to lunch. If I attain superiority over my competitors, then I will fulfill my God-given potential. If I can live with this pain one more day, then I will earn some compassion. If I have to do one more thing I don't want to do, then I will accuse God of not knowing. If I insist in life, then things will improve. Maybe. If we live well forever, then we can start now. If we are under God's personal approval, then we can say, thanks for the life. What's my story and how did I get here? I follow the feast. One opportunity to collaborate with God at a time. Let's receive the feast. Go towards the toughest things in the world and be there to receive God's gifts. When I hear my heart seethe, God, don't you know I can't take it anymore? I see the world's most beguiling little aqua blue of an unthinkably fragile robin's egg. And I hear God supporting me saying, don't you know me, Leah? So yes, you can come see the robin's eggs there in my office. Thank you.